Happy Sunday, everybody. It is October 10th, the day after Tyson Fury retained his heavyweight title, and some UFC strawweight action happened at UFC Vegas. What is it, 39? I think it was 39. I'm Ed Carbajal for MMANews.com. Thank you for watching. Um, Make sure you click the thumbs up, bell notification if you're watching this on YouTube. YouTube? What am I thinking? And subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have interviews with Coach Tyson Chartier with the Canadian God James Lynch. I always forget to mention. I don't want to forget to mention his name, and Curtis Blades. So if you like stuff like this and interviews like that, make sure you're locked in on the MMANews.com YouTube channel. I am Edward Carbajal. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazal, and this is your Sunday submission for October 10th. So let's get right down to business. I know we had another early UFC card. If you haven't noticed, UFC cards have been taking a backseat to all the college football and MLB and all the other stuff going on. It's a weird time of year for fight sports, but not when it comes to heavyweight boxing. So we should talk about that first because it looks like everybody was locked in to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder Part 3, who fought last night. And we have the results up at MMANews.com. If you want to check out all the highlights, the entrances, the preparation, the knockdowns from both men, because Wilder did drop Fury. I can't play these for you. You know, if you've been following along here, especially since these are ESPN ringside highlights, they were the ones that when I played the MMA ones from old UFC card that started this whole thing with the copyright or whatever you want to call it, that I can't do it for the YouTube channel. So I don't want to get this YouTube channel in any kind of trouble. I don't mind getting myself in trouble, but you know, the post we have up here at MMAnews.com is all filled with the highlights and the knockouts and stuff like that. One thing of note that is, it seems like the Fury part of Fury's preparation for this was to come in heavier than the last time to make, because and see, this is a funny thing about making excuses or whatever you want to say. Wilder came up with, and he did great. Not for nothing, he gave him everything he got, but he actually did it what a lot of us expected him to do, which was swing for the fences, and it was working until it stopped working. Because the thing about trying to come at someone with power like that, if you don't get the early stop, we saw it with Mike Tyson too. A lot of people like to call him the Mike Tyson of this era's boxing fans. But the thing about that fight, that plan of attack, for especially for anything in any combat sport, is that you're going to wear yourself out to the point that when you have somebody that's better at boxing, who, if I'm not mistaken, somebody tweeted the scorecard too. Fury was landing more and getting more points on the judges. I think they had him at 90. I want to say like 95, 91. They, like, everyone was scoring for Fury up until the knockdown came in the 11th round. So that plan of attack that Wilder had was, it's sound because it was knocking him down. It caused some damage, but to his credit, even Tyson Fury gave him props at the post-fight press conference. What's funny is that he said that when he tried to kind of close this out, because this is it. There's no more rematch clauses, no more interruptions for other fights that get booked. This is it for them. And the funny thing was that when Fury tried to go up to Deontay Wilder, apparently he didn't want to have any words with him. He actually said, no sportsmanship, I don't want to talk or anything like that. And as a precaution, they sent him, in Las Vegas, they sent him to get looked at, Deontay Wilder. And that was, but he was kind of he didn't want to be, the bigger man about it or whatever, which I found odd. I mean, usually in combat sports, even if you want to carry beef on afterwards, we see it all the time. Like, most times, guys in after the fight, you settle it because you've done the ultimate settling, proving point. You guys have hit each other. They went 11 rounds. heavyweight boxing, and they settled it. But apparently, I don't know. There was retirement talk for Deontay Wilder, and it's funny. Gareth Davies asked Fury at the post-fight press conference if he would consider retiring, and I don't know, man. I mean, there's still sometimes we ask too much of these athletes, but there's still these with the thing about boxing, and this is when you start comparing boxing to MMA, where you have the Ali Act in boxing, and why boxing matches are harder to make versus the way mixed martial arts works. I mean, financially, that's better for the fighters on the boxing side. That's why you have MMA. That's why you have him. You see the clip of the Paul Woodley thing up on this page where we have the results. That's why we're seeing that, because I mean, if you're going to put your body on the line, you definitely want to get paid for it. And if you're going to start looking at revenue share with it happens in MMA versus boxing, you're going to see huge differences. But that's for another podcast or vlog or whatever you're into that covers that. I'm no expert in that, so I'm not going to get into it. But the disparities are there, especially when booking fights. So now what happens, right? Lineal champion WBC. Here we have Tyson Fury. He beats this man. Gareth Davey asked him in the post-fight press conference, are you going to walk off into the sunset now? Because he's no one's getting any younger, right? Especially in combat sports. Mid 30s, late 30s is considered oldest. But if you get into 40s, that's you get the old man jokes and stuff like that in combat sports. So he asked him that, and he didn't say yes or no. I mean, because of the preparation, you have to remember he said 6 months. His camp was 6 months because he thought he was getting ready for Anthony Joshua out in Saudi Arabia, and then this monkey wrench, whatever. It was contracted, so they had to address it, and it's done. And he even said, "That's it. This is over. We're not fighting again." So if he doesn't retire, which I hope he doesn't, because there's still some really good heavyweight boxing fights to make. And I have to say, this is my opinion. You don't have to fault MMANews or whatever. You can give them all the shade you want for whatever else their UFC nut hugging that they do. But for me, it was really nice to see. And you see, we got the Jake Paul stuff. It was just really refreshing to see. And I may have said this last week, but it was really refreshing to see some real boxing, heavyweight boxing, the greatest boxing, which is the heavyweight division. I mean, historically, everybody tunes into heavyweight when a heavyweight title's on the line in a heavyweight boxing match. And it was really nice I wasn't on board when this. I wanted Fury, Joshua, and then the closer we got to this, the more excited I got for it. And I was really glad that when last night came, and the fact that it was, so it's best 2 out of 3, and Fury won the last 2 to finalize it with a finish. He even said he wanted to get a finish. He didn't want to leave it to the judges, which is, that's how you leave no question. I saw like people already trying to last time there was conspiracy theorists talking about how he was like doing something weird with the glove, and I forget what I woke up to this morning. Something about I don't remember what it was, but it was something to the effect of just making excuses to call to say that Fury was cheating somehow. I mean, listen, if the weight thing was you kind of gave that away in the last fight. If one of the reasons that you're saying you were fatigued and you were lost, this is on Deontay Wilder's side, was that your costume that you wore into the entrance were way too much and wore you out, and we're rematching again, then of course I'm going to see if I can come in a little heavier, make you carry me to get tired. And again, to Wilder's credit, I mean, he was carrying it for most of the two knockdowns that he got. It was against the heavier guy, but you gave that away in saying that. So give the guy some respect. You guys settled your beef. It should be over and done with. So what do we do next, right? We talked about Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk threw a wrench in Eddie Hearn's Anthony Joshua party. So now that rematch, I think, is supposed to happen. Like, Joshua made sure to make it a point. I think the news came out yesterday. I mean, the timing is not by accident. that he's going to exercise the rematch clause with Usyk. So now we have to see what happens with that. Does Fury face the winner of that? Andy Ruiz was in the house for that event last night. I mean, I if you're going to wait around for that, which is scheduled for spring, according to the report I saw this morning on Yahoo Sports, if you're going to wait around for the winner of that, I mean, 6 months camp, he does deserve a break. If he gets the itch to fight again, and that's still what it is as far as, making it happen, booking a date, when and where, and all that stuff. I mean, spring is a long way from now. Maybe you do Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, I think, is still somebody to not stop mentioning when it comes to heavyweight boxing, and then you have the whole mandatory challenger thing with Dylan White and who's the other person in that's mixed. It's confusing as to what we do next. Where do we go from here when it comes to the heavyweight title? I'm an old man. So growing up for me, I like having one undisputed heavyweight champion, the guy that has all the belts. And I need to see this fixed. I need to see it finalized. So I wouldn't mind that happening. But when you bring in the guys like like Joshua doesn't have the titles done, Ruiz doesn't have the title. When you throw them in the mix, you know, they stand to extend this split apart of all the titles in boxing. So I can't believe I forgot the other person's name that's in that mix with a mandatory challenger and all that stuff. But if you look it up, it'll be in the news for the next couple of days. But that's something that I'm looking forward to, just having one undisputed champion in heavyweight boxing. Excuse me. I feel like we haven't had that in a long time. And Usyk spoiled that party over there at Matchroom. And the other thing about before we leave boxing alone, there's a new player as far as promoters go. I don't know if you've been watching it. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been sharing a lot of their announcements. They're looking to would they say fighter first fans consideration. I mean, they're trying to change the way boxing. I mean, we need new players in boxing. I like Eddie Hearn. I like the way he promotes fights. He's very modern. He knows how to use social media and stuff like that. It was Bob Arum's side with Tyson Fury where we lost the Joshua Fury thing, where everybody was looking forward to, and that's what makes people upset when it comes to boxing, because other promoters can mess up things fans are looking forward to, and that I think that's why people keep the adage about boxing is dying keeps coming up. I mean, it's not dying it's actually, I think it's doing pretty well, and despite the circus fights and the carnival fights that we have listed up here at the over here on this thing, this here, I'm not going to click on it because get out of here with that. I mean, not that I don't like it; it's fun. We all have fun watching stuff like that. But these other matches that are possible to make are those are more welcome to the boxing fans and boxing purists. Events like that are good to mix, like MMA fans and boxing. I don't know why there's like a weird beef between MMA fans and boxing fans, because there shouldn't be. A lot of you guys use the same venues, the same commissions and stuff like that. There shouldn't be. And boxing is a martial art that adjusts and comes into mixed martial arts. So I don't know why people get like that about MMA and boxing. I'm not like I watch both. Both are fun. Excuse the water drinking, but weather's changing out here in Jersey, and we get a little funny out of it. So Pro Bellum is a new promotion that I was talking about. So if you're not following them, make sure you follow them on social, because they already signed quite a few boxers. They're partnering with a lot of promoters overseas. So guys, don't be surprised if they scoop up, when contracts are up and things like that. Don't be surprised if they start scooping up names like Fury and, outside of the U.S. anyway. I know they said they're going to do stuff within the United. I think Badu Jack signed with them, but don't be surprised if they start scooping up fighters to try to do more things globally for the sport of boxing. So if guys outside the U.S. like Joshua and Fury, I wouldn't be surprised if contracts are up. They start getting their coats pulled by Pro Bellum. So look into them if you haven't. And let me switch to the UFC Vegas 39 with Marina Rodriguez throwing a wrench in Mackenzie Dern's strawweight aspirations. James Lynch talked to her for MMAnews.com. You can check that video out here on the YouTube channel. I'm going to share the results because for reference and up from MMAnews.com. There's nothing there I could play, but we do have some highlights there. Here are your results. So again, the Canadian God spoke with Marina Rodriguez a couple weeks before this, and she pointed out something that's very interesting to me that I didn't even notice until, and I'm actually working on a piece for another outlet where looking at the strawweight division since its inception has had the same sort of, and this is something she brought up to Lynch, and again on this YouTube channel, so look for it. She said something to the point of the fact that you look at strawweights: Rose Namajunas, Zheli Wang, JJ Joanna champion or Joanna former champion, Carla Esparza, right? Am I forgetting anyone? I feel like there was 5 names there. And Jessica Andrade, because she's kind of like, or did she move to flyweight? Yeah, she did move to flyweight. My mistake, but she did challenge for it. So it's really those 4 names, but it's the same names that rotate back and forth. I mean, how many times did JJ fight? I mean, she fought Rose twice. Rose now is fighting Wei Li for a second time next month. So she kind of mentioned like it's about time to start mixing up the name for when it comes to the strawweight title. And the statement was made last night. They were both, you know, I know Mackenzie Dern said she's actually offered to fill in if something happens when they come to New York for that strawweight fight between Namajunas and Zhang Wei Li. She's willing to be a backup for, to fill in for that spot. But now she picked up an L last night. She lost by decision to Rodriguez, who was the underdog. So I wasn't surprised about that because she seemed to be the one that's looking at the division more, whereas I don't want to say Dern kind of expected it because she's not somebody that's like she comes from, she's been competing her whole life in the jiu-jitsu circuit, and we saw her display the danger that she is on the ground. But the thing about coming into mixed martial arts like that, when you have something, you're either going to impose what you're really good at, like kickboxers that come into MMA, the fight starts standing, the people want to get them off of their feet and on their backs, right? We saw that with Jairzinho Rosenstrike when he lost to who did he just lose to? Whoever, but you get my point. Sorry, but my mind's on the last night's events. So Rodriguez definitely is throwing her name up there. So now if anyone gets a shot, but Carla Esparza is up there too. When I last looked at the rankings, so the original strawweight champion. So it's about time we get some new, because everyone vying for the title already had it at least once, right? Joanna Wei Li, Carla. So Marina Rodriguez makes a really good point about the way the division's going, and I didn't even know it was such a Shark Tank until she pointed it out, because you see these main event fights happen and you kind of just get excited for them. My prediction, and what's funny is both Mackenzie Dern were asked. Both interviews were done by the Canadian God James Lynch, but he interviewed Dern for another outlet. But still, they both have the same prediction for, UFC 268, where they see the same thing happening, between Wei Li Zhang and Rose. Rose is very good. She's very much evolved from her first time fighting for the inaugural strawweight title. Whenever they did that from off of the Ultimate Fighter season, if you don't remember, that's how the division came. So all these names came from that. Esparza was the first champion. Her and Rose fought for it. She won, and then she fought Joanna, and Joanna took the title from her and then defended it for, I forget how many times. She was she was the person to beat at that division for a while until she met Rose Namajunas. Then Namajunas had it, and the whole Andrade thing, and that's where we wind up now. So last night's that was the main event. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from there for that division. There were some interesting finishes, knockouts. Again, go to the MMAnews.com. I was a little upset about this one. I always root for Tim Elliott because Tim Elliott, talking about Ultimate Fighter, Tim Elliott was on that season Ultimate Fighter when they made the tournament to face Mighty Mouse, and he won it. He fought through that whole season and won it, and actually gave Mighty Mouse a run for his money in that fight. But he lost by unanimous decision to Matthias Nicolau. The submission, I would love to play it for you because it was a really nice sub. The flyweight bout between Maria Agapova and Sabina Mazo, especially when they take it to the end like that. You gotta let me know. I'm a fan of finishers, but again, I saw the highlights. The lighter weights, that flyweight. I think that's why lightweight is so fun. The 155 division for men and women. I mean, when you go to PFL, there's just that weird. You have that leeway to be really scrambly. So there's always a lot of interesting scrambles because they have the energy and the way to move fast, and there's just lightning. There's just lightning watching those fights like that. So this submission here from the prelims, I just watched that this morning. Lupita Godinez versus Sylvana Gomez. Those belly down ones. I mean, I'm going to sound a little stupid saying this, but I mean, it's just weird to see, like when women in MMA, their arms get attacked in submissions. They just seem more. They can take more than us men, because it always looks like their arms bending a little bit the other way before they tap, versus like with guys like with me, when my arm's locked out straight, I ain't trying. I've had my arm bent the other way early in my younger when I started doing jiu-jitsu, and it's very painful. So the fact that some of them let it go as long as they do, and then tap, I'm just they're way tougher than I'll ever be. It's cringy to look at. I think Daniel Cormier gets the same way when he watches the fights, and what's messed up? But we lost that Duran win versus Phil Hawes. That was supposed to be on this card. I forget what the reasoning is. I didn't look at the updates for it because it was an early card. You see that start time was at 2 p.m. But I was really looking forward to that because that was a fight that I couldn't pick, and it sucks that we lost it. And then they tried to pull in Chris Curtis to step in for Phil Hawes. I think it was a weight issue or undisclosed issue. I don't remember. You have to check the news on that. But Phil Hawes was removed for an undisclosed issue or one of the two, and then they were trying to tap Chris Curtis to do it, but I think the commission shut it down because of how close to fight night it was. Plus with COVID protocols and everything, you really can't. It's hard to fill in something that close to fight night, or it's just it's a hard ask to ask for these guys to come in. I mean, a lot of them are ready, but I'm bringing up Chris Curtis because it seems like he keeps trying to. I feel like, did he announce his retirement? Because he fought at PFL just recently, and every time it's like, okay, I'm done, something happens where he gets roped in, and it's like, it's almost like that Godfather. They try to get out and they pull me back in, and the guy, and it's always for something that's like, where he can kind of close it on a good note versus the weird notes that But it sucks. It just sucks that happened. So that's why if you look, the card is kind of rather small, and again, I guess because of how close everything happened, they didn't want to push the envelope too much, just trying to fill it. I forget how many events the UFC is contracted for the UFC with the ESPN too. For them to get their ESPN money, they have to hold a certain number of events every year so they can get that money. So they're not going to ever call off a card while they're with ESPN. Just FYI. I mean, if there's 3 fights left, you're going to get a 3-fight UFC Fight Night card, so they can hold it together. But there was a um, there was a crazy. We had a Yair Rodriguez esque spinning elbow that caused a cut too. I mean, a lot of people were shitting on this card because of how small it was the early time. I mean, but these cards, and I think I've said this before, these cards are always the ones that people are ready to brush off. They're always the ones that have a lot of highlight reel things happening on them, and they wind up being more satisfying than not. So I feel like this was one of those cards. I know the main event going to a decision, but again, the fight, I think they got a performance of the night bonus. Um, I know Miss Godinez got a, because of the submission, she got a performance bonus. I haven't watched the press conference yet, because the thing with the boxing went so late kind of threw me off. But man, I wish I could play that sub for you. But it was definitely one of those cards that folks were ready to kind of sleep on or shut down, and you know that's definitely not the case for this event. You missed a good card if you didn't watch it. And I caught up on it this morning because I mean, Saturday early cards on Saturday. I'm out and about and helping my family. I do my own training, so if it starts before 6 o'clock, I have to catch it on the aftermath. But it sucks, man. I mean, again, go to this page MMANews.com, check out the results so you can see these highlights if you didn't get to see it, because there was some really good stuff happening there that went down. And this kick here, I wish I could play it for you. ESPN's going to be get all butthurt about it if I do. But you see, you see, they put on their own social, how is he still standing? Because that was like right on the jaw chin area. This angle doesn't show it well, but there's other angles that do. And man, ah, yeah, Tim Elliott. I'm always going to be a fan of Tim Elliott, win or lose. The dude is just such an entertaining fighter. Um, I hope he gets I don't know. Hope he's getting paid well. I just I'd like to see him, get in the running again soon. I mean, the guy's just I have his walk-in song as my as one of my pre-workout like training songs, the karate and jiu-jitsu song. I forget who the artist is. But I don't even know if they played that last night on the ESPN Plus broadcast, because we don't get to see the walk-in entrances like we used to back in the day. Before you used to hear their music and stuff. I mean, now you only see it during pay-per-view, like for main event fighters, um, main card fighters. You don't get to see like the stuff happen. Excuse me. You don't get to see the stuff happen for the fighters coming in, uh, prelims and stuff like that. Especially when it's on regular ESPN, because you get loaded with commercials and stuff like that. But what are you gonna do? It is what it is. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, not only in the world of boxing, but with the UFC's strawweight division. UFC 268 is going to be really interesting, just because of those title fights, the Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler. That there's something's going to happen there at lightweight. Something's going to happen there at lightweight because of that's their Shark Tank division. I would say in Bellator it's like 1/3 the 135ers and 145ers, even though they have the light heavyweight Grand Prix going on right now. But and FYI, if you haven't heard the news, they're going to be doing all their main events are going to be 5 rounds starting in 2022 next year. So if that was one of your problems with Bellator MMA, then you can scratch that off of your complaint list for Bellator, because now you'll get 5 round main events, because I think it was a culmination of the Yoel Romero thing where he was confused about his fight with Phil Davis, and then the fights we talked about last week, MVP versus Douglas Lima. That was we wanted to see. That definitely needed more than 3 rounds to especially because they went to the scorecards. If you're not going to get a finish, you know what I mean? Like, you need the 5 rounds. So I think that's it for me. I'll catch you next week. Next week is Bellator. There'll be a later one, by the way. I know for those that follow me on Twitter, where I broadcast this first, that's going to be later because I have a special occasion next Sunday. So the Sunday submission will probably be a Sunday night submission. Um, but we'll have a lot to talk about because there's UFC and Bellator. The light heavyweight Grand Prix that I was working through, Bellator 268, I believe, in Arizona. So we'll be talking about that and the UFC and anything else that comes up. But thank you so much for watching. This is your Sunday submission for MMANews.com. Make sure you, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, thumbs up, bell notification is much appreciated. And you can always check out MMANews.com for all the results and everything we just talked about here, as I brought up the pages while you were watching. And that is it for me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I am tapping out. Peace.